My name is Tasha Attaway, and my title is Digital Graduate Recruitment and Retention Manager with the Patton College of Education. And the reason that we're here tonight is to learn more fascinating information and all of the details that you need about the online Masters in Curriculum and Instruction. And thank you so much for joining us. There are a few links in the chat. Feel free to pop a question in the chat at any time, and we will definitely have a session at the end where we will make sure that every question gets addressed. And thank you for joining us. And the distinguished gentleman in the lovely Ohio hat is the program coordinator for the Online Masters in Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Brett Knoll, and he will be delivering the bulk of the presentation, and I'm here for support and morale. So, Dr. Knoll, please
Yeah.
take it away.
Again, welcome and thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm so excited that you guys are interested in maybe becoming Bobcats and joining our online masters in curriculum and instruction. I'm really proud of this program. It was originally started by a woman who's since passed away, but I was her TA when she started this program and started like having the idea that, hey, maybe we could do this online, and that was part of my TA-ship, was to do some research for it. And it's turned out to be a great program. One of the things that Ginger did when she designed this was really consider working teachers, right? And how much work we do, not just 5 days a week, but 7 days a week. So we tried to design this program as best we could to fit those needs, and also to be able to get you through the program in as fast as we could, and still not be overburdened with the work. So since the beginning of this, we have become, the number one best value online program in Ohio and in across the nation. We've received quite a few of these rewards and recognition. So we'll go on to the next slide. So what is it? The Ohio Online Masters in Curriculum and Instruction is designed for teachers and educators who have already earned a bachelor's degree or have a teaching license or certificate. But we are opened up, and we're opening up to not just traditional public, private K through 12 teachers, but anyone that is in a position where they are teaching students. So we are thinking about museums that run children programs, libraries, people working with children. But you have to be fully employed, because how we've designed each course is that your research is based on your teaching situation. So it really is a perfect fit for educators seeking opportunities to advance their knowledge and skills and dispositions, and not so interested in getting another license, but really, delving into what they're teaching now, and either more into content and more into teaching strategies, um, and then using that to promote the learning of their students. The research emphasis of my program is something called teacher action research, which is done in your classroom. Another thing is, if some of you might be interested in becoming a nationally board certified teacher, all of our courses are aligned with those standards. Let's go on to the next one. So points of pride. It's another great thing about our program is it is situated in the Patton College of Education, which is a fully accredited and nationally recognized college for teachers in education. And the tuition rates are very competitive with other similarly accredited programs. Why is this important? Let me give you a little, history on this. My, I'm an alum, a bachelor's, and did my graduate degrees here. My sister did her bachelor's at a high university. She was a single mom with two kids. And in the early 90s, she was wanting to get her master's. But at that time, we didn't have online programs. So she chose another, you know, kind of respected program. But um, the thing is after she paid more than I ever paid for a master's program, did just as difficult work as I did, when she went to get her principal's license, that program was not accredited. So she was going to have to get another master's. It's something you won't have to do. When you get a master's at OU, you can move right into your PhD programs, getting your principal license, your superintendent license. So that's the nice thing about going with a highly accredited college. Another great thing about our program is you're not just having all of your classes by a professor that is not part of the university, what we call adjunct professors. You have tenured professors that are teaching, you have full-on instructional faculty that are full-time, and if we do use adjuncts, they're highly respected, and we pick them because of their knowledge in the field and that they're working in the field that they're teaching. Let's move on.
And if I can just share one little thing
Yeah,
about where there's a list here of just different things and supports that are available to you. And I said a little bit earlier that we want you to succeed, and that is the case. So we provide academic support along the road. We have different units that are that are our purpose is to work with our online students and to make sure that we can help you in any way that we can. We can't do the work for you, but what we can do is share tips for time management and things to help you be a little bit more successful in this program. And as well, after you complete the program and after you have your degree, Ohio University is a phenomenal support career-wise. There is an annual teacher recruitment consortium. So if you ever find yourself in the position where you're looking for another job or looking to transition into another school district or whatever, we have strong networking. We have strong networks with school districts across the state and in throughout the region. And as well, we just make sure that those supports that are offered by our Career Achievement Network remain available to you as alumni. So whenever there's a job fair at Ohio University, as an alumna, you're able to participate and you are welcome and you are wanted. So we want you to succeed.
exactly. And one thing about it's very nice about this particular program is that we have students not just from Ohio in the program, but across the nation and a few internationally. So that also builds up a very great network for you. Because as you know, when you're working with peers, you learn a lot from them and what they're doing and the places they're living. And it just helps create a larger network for you for many things. So why study with Ohio? Our program allows freedom and choice of research topics. We provide time and guidance for all of our students to delve deeper into what they are really interested in and the chosen developmental level that you're in. As I mentioned, it's K through 12. I've got my first two students that are working with young adults that are like doing post secondary schools. So we're looking at that too. So, and we also have a few members that are looking at the 0 to 3 level students. So a really great group of people that you're going to get to meet and network with. Also, as a degree seeking program, you are eligible for financial aid. We have some great contacts for you on that. And we'll get into other things that you can kind of look for too to help finance this. So educators, what do they use? Why choose a curriculum and instruction degree? Well, one, it really puts you on a path if you might be considering to become an educational leader in the local, state, or nationally, when we're talking about politics or teacher organizations or things like that. Also, many of my past students have become curriculum directors and supervisors at their school. Um, some move on to get their national board certification. Others become adjunct instructors at community colleges and universities, teaching undergraduate students. And then I've had a few, go on and get their principal's license or going into superintendent. And I've just had another person applying for their PhD. I've had two already entered in our PhD programs in the past 3 years. So again, this really sets you up for your choice. Let's move on. So other benefits, you know, as we all know, getting a master's, you really start getting a better salary increase. It's the step, you know. You are wanting to learn more, but it does, as teachers, it really does help raise our pay. But it also provides opportunities to expand your professional network. Another thing is all of our classes are asynchronous class formats. You might set up a meeting with professors, but that is based on your time. And each professor is very willing to meet you and come to a, a time if you want to meet virtually face to face anytime through the week. And sometimes I even meet on the weekends. We're very flexible on that. Another thing very nice about the curriculum and instruction program, we have rolling enrollment. What that means is you can apply and begin in the fall, spring, or summer, right? So it's really designed for the individual choice and the choice of pace that you want. For those that want to finish the quickest, they often that would be starting in the first summer session, which this year I think is May 15th, if I'm not mistaken. The first summer session starts. And what would happen is you would do 2 summer sessions, fall, spring, and then you would graduate the next summer. But others, want to take it, a little slower. Some people start in the spring, which is a great time also because you can also finish up by the following summer if you start in the spring. Other people just want to take it. Maybe your district pays for some of your education. So I have people taking up to 3 years, 4 years to complete it because their school will pay for 2 courses a year. And that's fine too. As with any graduate program at a high university, you have up to 6 years to complete. So again, the choice of pace is up to you. Working with me as your advisor, we can do a program of study completely tailored to your individual wants and needs. So something else. Program costs. And I'm going to turn this over to Tasha.
So I get to talk money. Yay! Well, everyone always wants to know what is the bottom line. And currently, the cost per credit hour is $536 for an Ohio resident. And if you're outside of the state of Ohio, there's a non-resident fee of $19 per credit hour added to that. So for an out-of-state student, that cost is $555 per credit hour. What this means is that to complete the master's degree for an Ohio resident, the costs of tuition and fees is approximately $16,080. And that's based on the fact that Ohio University has a minimum of 30 credit hours to qualify for a master's degree. So you would definitely have to take 30 credit hours to be awarded a master's degree. So that cost does not include the books. So that's the only thing that would be an addition. I'm not gonna say the only thing. That would be an additional fee. And again, we've actually done surveys recently looking at the cost of comparable programs, and our cost honestly was one of the lowest of we looked at 18 institutions that are in the region. Our cost, we were, if we were not the lowest, we were the second lowest. So for our level of accreditation, the quality education that you're getting, the level of faculty dedication, and the level of ongoing service from Ohio University that you will receive, it's a good investment. And I'll say that because I'm not going to lie, 16,000 can sound like a daunting number, but again, it's an investment. It's an investment in your future, and you can find that specific breakdown of the tuition and fees on the Office of the Bursar. And the other thing that I have to say while I'm talking about cost is the fact that there is an option if you wanted to specialize a little bit more. So for example, if you wanted to add a reading endorsement, you can do that, but there would be a little bit of an extra cost for the additional courses. And I believe the cost for credit hour would remain the same, but that would be an addition.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I usually recommend is that you just spend the 30 hours on me and then move on to get your reading endorsement afterwards. Some of the courses that you take for the 30 hours will count towards your reading endorsement. The reason why I would do that is because our endorsements are actually, our tuition is lower. And it also, if you take those extra courses, as you know, after you get your master's, the next step you want to do is a plus 30. So those endorsement courses would go toward that master's plus 30. So not including it into the master's program is more ideal on that, if that makes sense. But if you have questions about that, you can write me later. One thing I would like to mention, if you have taken courses, once I've sent you the program of study, like what are the 10 courses I offer. And again, you've got some choices. There are some courses that I can switch out if you're interested in something very specific, say in special education or reading. There's a little leeway for one or two courses. We do accept transfer credit. If you've taken a course, let's say one of the core courses is the advanced studies of child and adolescence. If you've taken a course at a master's level within the past, I think it's 3 years, I can give you that more exact. We do accept that, and you will apply. You can apply and have those transfer credits added, so you wouldn't have to take that course. So that's something to keep in mind too.
And I believe from the university's perspective, the only limitation to that is that there is a cap on the number of credits that you can transfer. And
Yes.
I believe that number is 8 credits, but I can confirm that.
Yeah, generally what has happened is the most I've given so far is 2 courses off, so on that, with no problem, because that was 6 credits. But again, if you've taken a course very similar, aligns with our learning outcomes, Ohio is, we recognize other university credit for that. So that's also something that I'm very proud of that we do.
Great.
Okay, let's go on to the
And
next.
moving on from the bad news of the cost, well, not bad news, the harder to hear news of the cost, we can also talk about financial aid options. And so as Dr. Noel mentioned earlier, because this is a degree granting program, it is eligible for federal financial aid. Now, the challenge is the fact that at the graduate level, the majority of federal aid takes the form of loans. But that being said, it is still worth your time to complete the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, because that establishes any financial need which is necessary for other financial aid options. For example, if you have a professional organization with whom you are affiliated, and they may have a grant for they may have a small grant that will cover books, or they may have a grant that is for students who are returning to school. And there are a lot of different opportunities actually for external aid. If you can locate those and do that correct application, start with the FAFSA and then do the application with the other organization, and the Office of the Bursar will work with you to make sure that all funds are attributed appropriately, and to make sure that all of the verification is done to make sure that the organization knows that you are actually enrolled in school and that you are going to use this money for your education. So everything, no matter where you are, every affiliation that you have, even local chambers of commerce, sometimes they have different grants that are available. And looking at a group of women, especially for women right now, there are a lot of grants that are targeted at helping women go back to school and either complete a degree or do an advanced degree. And that's what your goal is here tonight. So that being said, do the FAFSA. Look for other opportunities. Talk to your HR department, because they know things about different organizations and different opportunities that we may not know about. So even if your school district does not have professional development funds, which may be the case, starting that conversation with the HR department is important, because if they do have those funds available, you won't get them if you don't ask for them. So start there. Do the FAFSA, talk to HR, look at any professional organizations that you know about, and just make sure that you keep your eyes open for different opportunities. Now, that being said, if there is an amount that you need to pay that is above and beyond what you have, Ohio University, the Office of the Bursar, also offers a monthly payment plan that breaks out the amount that you have to pay per semester into 3 payments over the course of the semester. And if you wanted to do that, you would need to apply for that. There is a $30 application fee for it, and it is something that you would need to apply for every semester that you want to use it. But that can help not to have to pay one lump sum, just to have that amount broken out a little bit over the 3 months of the semester. And one other thing that I wanted to mention, just because it is a really great program that is available for students who are local to the Athens area, is the Ohio Teaching Fellows. And that program, and actually, Dr. Null, if you wouldn't mind starting out, and
Yeah.
I'll.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have to be a local right now, but this is for people who are thinking like, I want a big change. You can apply for this. Application is around December, January. What it entails is if you get accepted into the fellows, you will work 20 hours a week with one of our partner schools. You'll also get a salary and your tuition would be paid. But it would require you to be a full-time student because you're only working 20 hours. So this is a big change. It's not really something that if you're really happy in your job and your career, that you would apply for. But if you're like saying, I can go and work 20 hours, move to around Athens and do this and get my master's for free. So if you're thinking about a big change, we will connect you with the person that runs that. Her name is Marcy Keeper Kennedy. We can maybe add that. I think she's already added it there. You can find out more information about our teaching fellows. Again, you would start in the summer. You do 4 courses, and you do like 2 or 3 in the summer, 4 in the fall, and 4 in the spring, and you graduate. It's an intense, program, but again, you do get a salary and your master's is paid for. All right. Again, for more information about anything, always feel free to write me. I'm happy anytime to set up an individual Teams meeting with you. We can just meet on agree on a time that fits your schedule and mine. Visit our program site. I'd love for you to start in the spring. Like I said, it's a great time to start, but if you'd like to wait, spring classes will start January 10th, but you can also apply now, correct, Tasha? And just choose to start in the first summer session, which is May 15th.
So this is the time set aside for you.
Yeah, you go.
So if you have any questions at all about the program, about the application process, anything, please feel free to fire away. This is another spot where I usually need music.
Yeah. Or the Jeopardy theme song.
Yeah. And we've thrown a lot of information at you, so definitely take the time to process it. And like Dr. Null said, anytime that you would want to, we can set up a meeting to talk further about it. His expertise obviously is the program, and my area of expertise is a little bit more toward the application process. So if between the two of us, we can either answer your questions, or I can find someone who can answer those questions. And we will make sure that anything that you want to know that would make you feel more confident about your decision gets answered. Because again, we want you to succeed. Kaylin, please.
Can you tell how the program is broken up? So I know it's 4 semesters, but I know we probably have a little bit of control over that, but typically how many classes would be taken in each of the 4 semesters?
Yeah. Generally, what happens is that in the summer, when you have more time, you take three courses. So you might take one in the first summer session, which is 7 weeks, and two in the second summer session. And then how we set it up for fall and spring is only 2 courses, because as working teachers, I think that's plenty. And again, all of the research, all of the work is really devoted to your class, working with your class students. And then that final summer, you would do another 3 courses. You could do 2 in the first summer session and 1 in the second summer session. But I've had people, for myself, I was like, wow, but I've had people take 4 courses in the summer, you know, but that's where the conversation is between me and you. What do you feel like? Look at your schedule, so you can take 2 your first time and do 4. There's 6 classes that are done in the summer, right? 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring.
And when does the second summer session typically begin? I know you said the first one begins May 10th. When does the second session typically begin?
June 28th. June 28th, around that time, very end of June. Tasha, do you have the actual date right with you? It's usually June 28th, June 29th.
Okay.
And I have a lot of people that will start in the second session and they do 2, and then they end up doing their 4 courses the next, they catch it up by doing 4, 2 in their second summer.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you for the question.
So you were talking about the endorsements. I kind of missed what you're saying. Were you saying you recommend to like take the endorsement after completing the master's or while?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're doing like a reading endorsement, for instance, I have some reading classes already, and I may be able to switch out one of the classes and add a reading, because you only need 10 courses for the master's. And when you do the endorsement actually is at a lower, as I understand it, it usually are at a lower tuition rate. But if you take them in the master's, you're paying for the my master's rate. Also, the big thing is, I wouldn't want you to write a program of study with 13 courses when you only need 10. Because once you get your master's, your next step, at least in Ohio, is you go for your plus 30. You understand that? So any of those teaching endorsements that you could get would count for that. You could probably finish that endorsement up in 1 or 2 semesters after you finish my master's. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
And it would be counting toward that plus 30, because right, you get a step raise for each thing after the master's.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then
You're welcome.
what endorsements are offered? Do you know like a list of the endorsements that are offered?
I know that we have a reading endorsement, Tasha. There's some things coming up with we used to have 4th and 5th grade, but that's out now because of.
It is still.
It's still there?
Option, yes. That
Okay.
there is a 4th and 5th grade, basically a completion endorsement for those who have a pre-K through 3 license and want to add the 4th and 5th grade. That endorsement is available. There is also a computer technology endorsement that is available for, and that one is it's a different department in the college, but it's still Ohio University, and everything plays well together. So there's that endorsement, and there also is a pre-K through 5 special needs endorsement for those who wanted to work with students, younger baby students who have special needs.
Okay.
What's nice about the computer and technology is you already have 1 course you take with me. I've had other people end up taking a second one. So that helps.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And the only qualifier that I would have to share about the endorsement is that if you take the endorsement separately, it is a non-degree program, so it would not be eligible for federal financial aid. But that being said, all of the other financial aid options still apply. If you can find an external source, or if you wanted to use the monthly payment plan, those options are available for you. One other thing that no one likes to talk about, but that is an option, the Office of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships maintains a list of quality private lenders that students have used in the past, that our students have used in the past. And so they maintain that list so that you want to make sure that if you're going to use a private loan, you want to make sure that the lender is someone who is trustworthy. And so we maintain that list in our Office of Student Financial Aid here. And Dr. Noel was right about the start date for the second summer session. It is June 27th. And I put a link to the academic calendar in the chat. Mackenzie.
Is there a way that we could either get this presentation or like the links in an email? Because every time I try to open it up, and I don't know if it's because I have a Mac, it just says Microsoft and it keeps spinning and spinning and spinning.
Rude. Well, you will get, I will be sure that you get both a copy of the recording as well as I will send a PDF of the presentation to you to make sure that you have all of the links.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
No problem. We have another hand. I just see CH got the hand up. Kaylin, you have another question?
I think that's from earlier. I don't think my hand should be. It's
Okay.
Earlier.
I
Probably
always forget that too. Or I start talking and I'm on mute. I always forget to unmute myself and I'm just busy talking and eventually people say you're muted.
I was the virtual teacher for my grade last year and I have first graders, so there was a lot of that.
Well, I am so glad you guys showed up. I hope I hear from you. Like I said, please send me an email. Any other questions that come up? I know this was a lot tonight, but I enjoyed speaking with all of you. And once you're in my program.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys taking the time to meet with us.
Yeah, no problem.